Hello, people of this planet, and welcome to a smack dab another episode of D&D Stories. Today, we're going to actually take a different route in the storytelling genre, and I'm going to talk to you for the 3 people that watch my videos. You, the real MVP, I gotta tell you that first. Thank you very much. I'm going to talk about, and this comes from a series of events that I have encountered in my last few sessions that took place in between campaigns. This episode will be dedicated to talking about what you can do in between campaigns. Now, note, every campaign, every session, and every table you play in is different. The way we play is vastly different from the way you play. The way we roleplay, the way we act, the way we roll our dice, completely different. So this will mostly involve my friends and I and our adventures in D&D, or Dungeons and Dragons. That probably would have sounded a lot better, but I do one take, so shut up. Anyways, doing something in between campaigns and doing something in between sessions can be their own video. However, I'll do my best to separate them and differentiate them in what you can do in between one and the other. Today, in what you can do in between campaigns is a lot better because you have generally a lot more time. You have anything from a few weeks to a few months, years, even decades and centuries, depending on your table's preference and how much time passes along with time period. However, let's get right into the video. On the first one in my list that I have on handy dandy Microsoft Word, we have, as simple as can be, make some money. Now there are a few others that involve this. However, this is more of a broad spectrum. Just to explain, basically meaning you could do different things that help you get a little bit of money. How much money you make could depend on a dice roll, the DM's preference, your preference, or negotiation. Basically meaning you can explain how you got yourself some extra coin in your pouch. You know, maybe you did some jobs, maybe you had fun, maybe you found it in the middle. Jesus Christ, it's like a motorcycle going by. Maybe you found it in the middle of the street, wished in a wishing well and hoped for the best, or anything else of that matter. There are many things that you can do when it comes to making money, and since there's no session going on, of course, you can get creative. But of course, make sure you stay reasonable, because you can't just walk up to your DM and it's like, oh, I have like 3 million gold, Richard. But yeah, you know, don't do that, because you'll start pissing people off. I can almost guarantee that, Richard. And continuing forward, you know, well, actually, staying on the subject, I apologize. We have different aspects when it comes to money. It doesn't always have to be gold. It could be different things of value. So say for instance, you know, making the money, maybe you invested, if your campaign or world universe thing allows it, stocks. Maybe you bought some jewelry that you want to sell for later. You know, you're a merchant or something like that. Bard. I don't know, they allow stuff like that. You know? Whatever you can imagine is whatever your character was able to do. That's basically the premise of D&D in my perspective. So it'd be nice to see my players exercise this. I know the 2 that watch these videos on a regular basis are Dennis and Richard, so what's up? Moving on, we have something that someone in my table, well, more or less not my table, Burger King's table, decided to do was number 2, start a business. In this, we actually have my good friend Dennis, who created a complete farming business, who will then go into apothecary and start selling his own potions as well. Now, of course, this took like a few weeks to get into, you know, making prices. Of course, the D&D handbook and DM's guide, I believe, and, you know, many guides on the internet have their own prices, but we decided to come up with our own and see what we can ruin Dennis with, along with workers, hirelings, skilled, unskilled, stuff like that. We came up with what we needed to come up with. The land, the crops, all that stuff. You can make your own business. Now, it doesn't have to be a farming business because that can take some time in getting used to. Not only that, but it can be quite confusing. Well, in all honesty, that's any business. However, in many businesses, there are simpler businesses that you can get into. It doesn't have to be a big stream business. Oh, Empire Strikes Back or something. But you could come up with, hey, I'm a merchant and I buy cheap and sell high. You could do that kind of stuff. Buy weapons at an armor at a weaponsmith, and then sell those weapons to other adventurers that are passing by as a passing merchant. Go town to town. I know one of my other players wants to do that. Richard, he wants to become a learn the art of blacksmithing, become a blacksmith in a sense, make swords and shit, and then like sell it in different towns that don't have that. The problem with that is that it has some cons. Just like every business, there are cons to be dealt with. Not a farmer, is not gonna want to buy, whatchamacallit, the thing, a sword or a battle axe. They mostly sell that to adventurers. So, there's that to put into perspective. Also, moving on to number 3 on the list, we actually have something that's a little bit more, not mundane, but something that'll be beneficial in the long run, assuming your characters are still alive, kicking and well, for a long time in your campaign. This is making friends. Now, you can do this in a variety of ways, either having your DM describe to you these people, and then you actually converse with them to see how well you become friends, or maybe your DM allows you to just describe it. Now, of course, like I said earlier, with the make some money, don't be an idiot and go like, "Oh, I made friends with a freaking demon or some shit." Don't be doing that. You're stupid. Make friends with actual people. It doesn't have to be humans. Gnomes, halflings, dragonborns, if you could find one, orcs. They're all in the game, and there's so many opportunities that you can make. And a little tip to other dungeon masters out there: if you want to start a campaign, one of the best ways you can do it that I found that I got from other people is starting with mail. Having props, my players loved it. I think. I know one of them did, that's for sure, and that made me happy. But yeah, making friends is something that not everyone does in my party. Everyone in my campaigns and parties have the mentality that everyone wants them dead, which is not true. Not everyone wants them dead. There are nice people out there, as there are mean people. But apparently we've just met a string of mean people and no nice people, which makes no damn sense. Not everyone's out for themselves. There are people who recognize that their basic needs have been met and they are willing to help those in need, even if their basic needs are not met. People are willing to sacrifice what they have for you, and you should do the same in making friends. Now, that was relatively a short one, and for a good reason, making friends. Find someone at a bar, start conversing, buy them a drink, and have fun. Hope they don't stab you in the back, and there you go. Boom. New friend, meet up again, same tavern, go on a few jobs together, and have some fun. Heck, you could even play as that character if your DM allows it. Make a character sheet, roll up their stats, or use whatever method you use, but it doesn't really matter. Number 4 on the list actually involves something that my character and Dennis's character more or less did. However, not during, not in between D&D campaigns, but just in their general lives, which is starting a family. Now, it is relatively difficult to start a family if, having only a few weeks to 3 days in between campaign sessions is, upon you. However, when things like years and decades pass, for sure it is definitely possible, even if it is not legitimate. It does not have to be a legitimate family. Now, in this world, I don't believe you gotta pay child support. Thank Christ. Thank the gods above. But you can definitely have a family. Your character can settle down for a little bit, have some fun, raise some kids, have their heir, along with helping them out. However, don't give your DM the stress of heirlooms. I swear, that's the most annoying thing a dungeon master has to deal with. Don't don't torture them with that. Along with starting a family, just because you start a family does not mean you have to retire your character. If your DM tells you this, you can explain to them that yes, I may have a family, but there are other people to take care of them. Think of it as this: I'm the one who's out there getting the big money to help support the family. You know? My character does this to help support his family. Dennis's character does what he does to help support his family. Starting a business, he helps his son. Not only that, but he helps anyone else that he wants to help. Especially with the friends he's made. My character, my family, and his family are great friends. We all enjoy each other's company and we enjoy being with each other. Not only that, but in terms of starting a family and making friends, heck, you can even do it with other party members. I've seen it before. Having friends in the party, having a family within a party, a male and female character getting it on, and then having some fun under the sheets, and then boom, 9 months later, 10 months later, doesn't matter. 9 months, a year, 3 years later, you have like a big family. Everyone's living happily. Then one of you dies, gets eaten by a dragon, and then your dragon starts chasing after you guys. And yeah, it doesn't end well. I've seen that before. It's pretty funny. Next up on the list, on number 5, we actually have traveling. Now, this also involves being in, having, a traveling merchant. That's one way to travel. And just travel. I mean, talk to your DM, tell him, hey, Mr. DM, Mrs. DM, Mr. Sir, Doctor, Professor, I don't know, whoever, dad, mom, sister, uncle, Theo, I don't know, anything. Tell them, hey man, I want to travel a little bit. Any chance you can give me like a small, 2 session thing where I just explore the world, or maybe you can even just type it up or write it down. Hey, I explored this part. If your world allows it, let me give you a perspective. In our world, the way we've always imagined it is basically Jupiter times 300. That's basically our Earth. There's a lot of uncharted land to go around, so that means it provides excellent opportunity to travel and do what you want to do in this land of D&D. However, we have DMs that do not understand travel and they decide to teleport you into pocket dimensions. Yeah, never mind. I'm gonna stop ranting. Um, you know, there's a lot of land to cover. There's a lot of things to discover. People before you have left things behind that have not been discovered that might be bountiful. There are things you can leave behind for future generations to find. The land of D&D is a massive one, so why not begin exploring? Along with traveling, there's become a cartographer. Now, usually it's a DM's job to create the map. However, that does not mean you can't help them out. You can tell your dungeon master that, hey, I want to be a cartographer. I'll take any form of class, any teachings that I have to. But I want to help you, in a sense, in-game, plan out the map. So, say, and not only this, but this goes into travel quite well, because where do cartographers go? Uncharted land. Not only can you discover potentially new species, new plants, new anything, really. Think about it. Think of the possibilities that you can do in Dungeons and Dragons if you allow it. Just have fun with it. Talk to your DM. Hey, I'll help you make a map if you let my character explore this and hopefully come out alive. Start an expedition. Have fun. Do what you need to do. And try not to disturb the locals too much or you'll pull a Europe on America, I swear. You know, do you want to do a tragedy of the commons? Well, actually, it doesn't really apply here too well, but you get the idea. Next up on the list, we actually, continuing forward, is another one that involves, making money. There are people that like to do some high rolling, high stakes poker, high stakes games. We got gambling. With gambling, we actually come into an interesting topic in which people with gambling addictions, in both in game and real life, can alleviate their symptoms and enjoy some dice rolling, poker playing, testing their luck on certain hands, coming out big or coming out a bust. This involves things like playing poker, and here's where you can actually make it very interesting. You can have your player, as a dungeon master, play against a computer, to actually have him earn his gold instead of rolling for it. Not only that, but you can have him play games that, maybe were already invented. Poker, blackjack, Russian roulette. No, not Russian roulette. Let's not go into that. Not roulette wheel, potentially even slots. I don't know. I have no idea how that would work. You have a bunch of games that you can play that, your character can get involved with, playing both in game and in real life, allowing for better role play and not storytelling, but gameplay setting in a sense, because you begin to truly feel that the world around you is actually alive. If your DM is good enough, they can make a freaking brick feel like a whole new character, whole new setting, whole new plot. Think about it. It's completely possible in the land of Dungeons and Dragons. Next off, number Lord knows what, because I lost track and I'm too lazy to count, we got doing some jobs. This also goes into making some money, however, it's a lot more exact, in the sense that your dungeon master can properly have you do something in little sessions here and there throughout, a week, Monday through Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, whenever the both of you have time. In person, one-to-one, or on Skype, Discord, or anything else that you might use. Heck, even text messages. I've seen that before. In my public D&D chat on Kick, people do them all the time, coming in to recruit, playing on D20 SRD, or whatever it's called, Roll20.net. There are plenty of places you can go to enjoy yourself some Dungeons and Dragons, along with doing jobs that'll help your character not only gain some money, but fame, heroism, becoming vilified or dishonored, and even some XP here and there. Not only that, your character can gain experience in the game, you can gain experience through the game. Meaning that if you ever try to dungeon master yourself, you can learn from these sessions. Heck, you can learn from any session. Talk to your DM about this kind of stuff, because chances are they might want you to do this. Think about it. Our DM Mario wanted someone to ask him, "Can I have a quest for a bag of holding?" Usually that's not the biggest way you do it, but hey, he's been waiting apparently for like 7 months for someone to ask, and finally someone did. Yet they never did it, and he just bought one, so that sort of defeats the purpose a little bit, but you get the idea. Ask your DM, "Hey, what do you want to DM? I'm willing to do this, blah, blah, blah. Are you willing to help me out in my quest to get a bag of holding?" Doing jobs also involves helping out grandma across the street, 5 XP, anything that you can do to help people or yourself in Dungeons and Dragons. Lastly on my list, but I have come up with one more, since this being a relatively short video, we have, relaxing. Sometimes characters do want to wind down and relax and enjoy themselves in the game of life that is known as D&D. They can, if they have the money, they can invest in a house, decorate said house, have fun in their house, raise their family, just enjoy that, and then pull a, just I don't know, something, and get back into the game. Pull up Michael from Grand Theft Auto and get back into bank robberies or something. It's Dungeons and Dragons. There are a lot of things that you can do in this game. Not only that, but relaxing can even give you potential items, experience, along with skills and attributes. Heck, even a feat or two if your DM allows it. Just think about it. Every day your character learns something new, as do you in real life. There's no reason why your dungeon master should completely deny you, uh, having some form of extra skill or proficiency. However, a proficiency comes with time. And if your character's relaxing and you don't specify to your dungeon master, that is entirely on you. Having these kinds of skills is very controversial because that means that theoretically you could just say, "Oh, my character was like practicing a wish cantrip. Now he can do it." No, that's not fair. Do you want to play Dungeons and Dragons or do you want to break that damn game, Richard? Having fun is not casting wish every 30 seconds. That's for damn sure. Moving forward, two more things that I want to talk about, and hopefully I'm able to talk about them to a great extent. Number one, you need to talk to your dungeon master on the things that you do in between campaigns, sessions, and anything of the sort. If you have a campaign end and then a campaign start 7 months later in game, you can't expect your dungeon master to know that you did all these things without telling them. You come back with, an extra 30,000 gold, a business under your name, all these items, they're going to accuse you of cheating. Because that's not the way it's played. And yes, that is entirely possible. Sometimes your character might not have done anything. However, you need to understand that it is entirely up to you to tell your dungeon master so that you can avoid any drama at the table. If you don't tell your dungeon master you've done these things, it is entirely your fault. Technically, you were the one who started it by entering the house, room, table, kitchen, alleyway, dark place, dungeon, anywhere you may play. It is entirely your fault for entering and having the expectation that your dungeon master would know something you did not tell him. In fact, something you didn't tell anyone. Let me give you an example. Richard came to me more or less one day and he's like, could my character learn how to fish in the middle of a campaign of a D&D session? And I'm like, bro, you're a little late. It's like, how would he not know how to fish? Like, come on, it's so easy. So like, bro, you didn't tell me. See, this is exactly what you should avoid. You did not tell me during the 6 months because not only did you not even think about doing anything those 6 months, you just blurted out in the middle of the session. It's like, yeah. What did you think I was gonna say? Oh yeah, sure, fine, whatever. No, I'm gonna tell you why didn't you tell me so that we could talk about it, how well you know, and all that fun stuff. Make sure you tell your dungeon master, and make sure you keep him informed, along with party members, of your skills and attributes and things that you might have done in in between sessions and campaigns of Dungeons and Dragons. Lastly, the final point I'm going to talk about is going to be having whatchamacallit. I've already lost my train of thought. Ah, yes. Increasing skills. Now, this is very controversial, and I'll tell you, and hopefully I'll be able to explain why in a coherent manner. You can tell your dungeon master that I want to learn how to fish after the session, after the initial campaign in which Downtime has begun. Right afterwards, get into it, tell him, hey, I want to do this, and then he'll be able to help you out. However, if you don't tell him, he'll never know, and you cannot increase your skill. Things like strength, charisma, dexterity, things like that, they're all upgradable if your dungeon master allows it. Heck, if your dungeon master won't allow it, you can do a group vote, and then from there you could persuade him or her to do so. Because it is completely possible that your character thought they were either too weak, could perform better, or do many other things, and have decided to increase and push themselves to the limit to increase their skills in different ways. Your character could have done a form of weightlifting, freaking benching logs or anything of the sorts. Could have increased dexterity, having different ways to do that, jumping across buildings, all these things that you can do in Dungeons and Dragons, and I'm so sorry. All these things that you can do, and yet sometimes people don't do them. Having the ability to increase your scores, not through every 4 levels, you can understand. Having, whatchamacallit, increasing intelligence by reading books, intellectual books, not comics. Increasing charisma by, I don't know, hitting up the barmaid or something. I don't know. Increasing wisdom. I don't know how. Increasing different things like that. It is all completely possible in Dungeons and Dragons. Because remember, the only limitation is the limit you give yourself in your own imagination. It's a good quote. I just came up with that, I think. So that pretty much wraps up this entire video. For the 3 people that watch this, why don't you share down in the comment section below on what you would either like to do or do on a regular basis in between sessions, campaigns, heck, even times when you see your friends to play in Dungeons and Dragons. There are many things you can do, and nothing can technically stop your character other than a 30 million foot dragon stomping on your doorstep and burning your face off. Anyways, that concludes this Dungeons and Dragons episode. And I hope you enjoy it as much as I enjoyed making it. And I'll see you on the next episode of D&D Stories. Have a wonderful day wherever you may be.